I've been familiar with it for a long time. And in fact, I've seen the tapes.
Lady C, after Thomas Markle Jr. this week described Meghan Markle as previously having been a, quote, yacht girl, there have been more revelations going viral from the past. And I want to show you this from a man called Kevin Blatt. Now, he is a celebrity tape broker, Lady C, and this is from a show called Your Mom's House, where he describes a 2018 call from a woman claiming to possess a 4-year-old tape of a Meghan who is about to marry a prince. Apparently, this was filmed by a Florida photographer, and in light of Thomas Markle Jr.'s claims, this has now been going viral this week, Lady C. I'll get your reaction off the bat, but let's just watch this together.
Say this, another exclusive on YMH. So exactly a year ago, last week, I was shocked. A woman calls me up, and she's like, do you have a secure line for me to talk to you? Right? Like, I'm like in the cone of silence or something. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I get on a WhatsApp call with her, and I'm like, what do you have? She says, a guy sent me a tape of this model / actress 4 years ago, and she is tossing his salad, and it's, you know, oral sex.
Yes, eat the scrum.
And I said, great. How do you know this guy? Well, he's a photographer. He's based in Florida. I was doing some stuff with him. Okay. I said, who is the person we're talking about here? Before I call my lawyer and get anybody involved in this, you have to tell me. So then she says, her name is Meghan, and she's about to marry a prince in England.
No, what?
Yeah, this is true. No. I'm going to show you the email communications, and you'll see why. The woman in Canada who called me has it.
Lady Colin Campbell, what do you think?
Oh, I'm familiar with it, Dan, and I'm sure you are as well. I've been familiar with it for a long time. And in fact, I've seen the tapes. I've got them somewhere. God knows where now. I've got them on some.
So you've seen Nudie Rudy Meghan too?
I've seen more than one thing. Well, let me put it this way. Some of it, there's some of what I've seen, I think I have a room for doubt about. Others, let's resile away from a comment, because I couldn't find a room for doubt. Let's put it that way. But
isn't the suggestion of those, Lady C, that they were leaked as part of this iCloud hack, which was obviously something that was criminal, and so that's the reason they were taken down from the internet? But what this Kevin Blatt is claiming seems to be different. It seems to be a suggestion that this was actually like a Kim Kardashian sort of moment, when it was almost planned. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Well, if that's the case, all I can say is that Meghan should have realised that it's always better to go forwards than backwards. And brown lipstick is not a good look on a girl.
The other video that has been going viral, Lady C, is of Carol Malone on GB News, where she suggested that Doria Ragland's absence from Meghan Markle in her teenage years was potentially as a result of her having gone to jail. Watch this.
Where's her compassion for the father who actually brought her up, who paid for her private education while her mother was in jail, who took huge care of her, and she's not seen him in the latter years. More importantly, I mean, she's not just seen him, she's like totally snubbed him. You know,
when was her mum in jail? When was her mum in jail?
Years ago. Do you want me to give you the precise date, time? Because I haven't got it.
I've never heard that forever.
Years ago. Anyway, she. But you know, this old gentleman now could be dying. Yeah. He needs to see his daughter.
Jonathan, let's just bring yourself in now. What's your take on this? To me, it reminds me almost of when we heard the news about King Charles with the enlarged prostate and people asking, will Harry come back to see his father? You know, is this other people's business, or should we just leave them to it? It's Meghan's decision whether she goes or not.
I thought we didn't know what the King's cancer was.
No, it was just an enlarged prostate. That's never been confirmed.
So, Lady C, there's been a huge backlash against GB News. The Sussex Squad are running a campaign to report the channel to the off-communist government regulators, although it is something that Tom Bower has suggested even on GB News in the past. What do you make of it?
Well, Dan, in my book, Meghan and Harry, The Real Story, Persecutors or Victims, I do actually provide the actual information that I was given of where a certain Doria, whatever, Ragland, her name was housed for a particular period. And I did make the point that there were rumours about Meghan's mother, but I also made the point that this might not be the same person. Of course, those are points I would have had to make, irrespective of what I might have thought privately for legal reasons. But as you will know, this is a story that's been out and about for some length of time. And to give Thomas Markle his due, he's the person who could clear it up. And he is silent on the subject. He has never, ever confirmed anything. He has been remarkably, shall we say, stum on the whole subject. And I say, good, this is credit to him. That he has not commented on something. Now, when I wrote my 2020 first version of Meghan and Harry, The Real Story, I was aware of this, but I thought at the time I wasn't going to touch it because Doria is Meghan's mother. Doria has nothing to do with Meghan and Harry and any of the mischief they're getting up to. And it really wouldn't be right of me to bring up what Doria's past has been or the speculation about her past. So I gave it a totally wide berth. But after the Netflix series, where Doria is so clearly pushing fire, this is and she's a real Uriah Heep. And it's racism. Everything is racism. Racism. I thought, no, you're right in there pushing the racist far. And so I used it. Of course, what happens in America is records get expunged. So will we ever know definitively one way or the other? Well, so far Thomas has remained totally silent. And I think he's the person who would be in a position to tell us and has never done so, which shows that at least he's loyal.
Is Prince Harry planning a rival court to take on Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, from the disunited kingdom, and also managed to spend a hell of a lot of time away from his miserable wife? That is the suggestions in certain royal circles after the revelation this week that Prince Harry believes that this Home Office review into his taxpayer-funded security is long overdue. The Daily Mail reporting that his relationship with the king is now thawing as well, with a royal source telling the newspaper this review could be a reflection of improved relations between the monarch and his son, but added the king is not directly involved in discussions about security. The insider added, there are representatives of the royal household on Ravik alongside police and Home Office officials, so it's possible that the courtiers on the committee have influenced the decision to order a review after the slight thawing of relations between the King and Harry. Well, our Lady Colin Campbell, who will be here imminently, has her own view, revealing on X, Harry's irresponsibility and maliciousness are truly off the charts. I do not know if people realise to what extent his appeal to the Home Secretary to override the findings of Ravik and the courts, which has resulted in the reassessment of his risk factor, is a shocking abuse of power and a flagrant display of contemptuousness, self-importance, and treacherous undermining of the system which he has already asserted is prejudiced against him, despite the fact that he is pretty much in the same boat security-wise as his Aunt Anne and Uncle Edward. Will Shabana Mahmood's intervention in the matter, which has resulted in a new risk assessment being ordered, end up with Harry having his wishes gratified so that he can have his security increased and paid for by the taxpayer instead of himself, despite his never doing any royal work, unlike Aunt Anne and Uncle Edward? Harry and Meghan have made no secret of their leftist, racially divisive political beliefs, and it really will be too rich if this leftist, authoritarian, anti-democratic, racially and culturally divisive government, which is now taxing even the working classes at an unprecedented rate, end up rewarding Harry by leaning on the authorities so that this bum can benefit from our hard-earned money as it overturns years of sensible legal judgments for their own politically motivated and anti-monarchist reasons. I am reliably informed that Harry and Meghan are still playing the race card to achieve their objective of taxpayers being stuck with their security bills. Behind the scenes, they maintain the fiction that their lives and those of their children are endangered because of the minimal amount of sub-Saharan African blood she has flowing through her veins. And Lady C goes on to say, as for the children, let's not even go there. Never was a lily-white little girl more appropriately named than Harry's daughter Lily, and as for Archie, I hope Harry's son is slathered in Factor 50 sunscreen every morning, even whilst indoors, as the rays of the sun are very dangerous for lily-white little boys as well. Harry and Meghan are fully aware of the fact that their and his children's lives are no more endangered when they are in England than they are wherever else they might be. Indeed, the dangers to them are non-existent if they follow the protocols given the required notice for a risk assessment of any visit on a case-by-case basis. And if they stay in royal residences, they can also enjoy the level of security which exists as a matter of course for all the royals who live behind what we can politely call the cordon sanitaire. The acid test will be the outcome. Harry and Meghan are using an anti-monarchist government to further their own self-aggrandizing agenda, demonstrating yet again how disloyal, irresponsible, and reckless they truly are. Lady C, lots of big revelations there and a huge amount to unpick. But this is something which has been a growing suspicion behind the scenes, that indeed this government, this Labour government in the United Kingdom, is working against the royal family to some extent. Charles seems to not really be aware of the threat. William very much is. And as a result, they want to find a way for Harry to be able to return to provide this rival court to Prince William.
I don't think that they want Harry to return at all. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, had Meghan not been a woman of colour, there is no way that Harry would have written that letter. Oh, and Shabana Mahmood, not also being a woman of colour, might have not made much of a difference because of this government. So whether white, brown or black would still tilt it in favour of Meghan. That Harry having failed judicially is now taking the legislative course, except the government, having failed judicially, is now taking the governmental course. He went through the court process and has lost again and been denied the right to appeal. And what does he do? He jumps over the whole of the the legal system into the governmental system. And he now is trying to get the government, which is not there to implement the law, but to create the law. Governments create the laws in Parliament. That's what their function is. They run the country as on a lawful basis in conjunction with Parliament. They do not interfere with law cases, as Keir Starmer has done, incidentally, with the Lucy Connolly case and all of the Southport cases. So we at the moment are witnessing the corruption of and the breakdown of the barriers between the government and the law. And this is extremely dangerous. And also this government is using the law against the liberties of the people and against the interests of the people. Harry's appeal to Shabana Mahmood she should have simply written back if she knew anything about correct behavior and said, "You're awfully sorry, there's nothing I can do. This has already been decided by the courts." She hasn't done that. She has used her power to leapfrog over them on Harry's behalf. This is totally outrageous behavior.
And Lady C, do you buy into this idea that Harry had also suggested that he wants to spend more time in the United Kingdom away from Meghan, and that is another reason why he was able to demand this reassessment, which, as you point out, had previously been rejected as a result of legal action?
Well, one thing has nothing to do with the other. Ravek has already said to Harry, we look at everything on a case-by-case basis. Harry is trying to overturn the legal position in this country and show that he has more power than the courts and the king. That's what he's trying to do. He's getting the government to undermine the legal system and the institution of the monarchy. It couldn't be simpler. Harry has security when he comes to this country. It's assessed on a case-by-case basis. If he stays in a palace, and he's offered to stay in palaces and refuses to do so because he's trying to manipulate the system. If he stays in palaces, he is subject to the same degree of security that everybody in the palace is as well, which is a heightened aspect of security. So Harry and Meghan, she's doing it with the Mail and with her father and with laying conditions for her father, and he's doing it with Shabana Mahmood and believe me, Shabana Mahmood would have pitched it out had Meghan been a white woman. But because Meghan has a little bit of what in Jamaica we call coloured blood, that all of a sudden she's supposed to be treated specially. Why should she be treated specially? I mean, did she ever face any danger to her life as a result of having a bit of sub-Saharan African blood? Do Davina Windsor's children, who are part Maori, face anything? What about the Lascelles' children? What about all of the other children of colour in the royal family and in other royal families? Not one of whom is treated the way Harry and Meghan expect to be treated. They are using everything, but especially her sub-Saharan African touch, because it's only a touch. And they are using it cynically to abuse the process so that they can end up getting privileges to which they're not entitled. And let's remember, Princess Anne and Prince Edward are working royals, and they don't get the degree. And they are also the children of a monarch, and they don't get the degree of security that Meghan and Harry require for themselves. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. And I don't know why people, well, I do know why people won't call it out. Because Harry and Meghan are useful idiots to undermine the monarchy system in this country. And they are happy to allow themselves to be used by anti-monarchists as they self-aggrandize. I mean, this is treachery and disloyalty of the highest order. And that's why they do it. And they are self-important and, quite frankly, in my opinion, so irresponsible that they should never be let near any institution or entity, including they should, I mean, because anybody can open up their mouths and chat crap, and Harry and Meghan do it regularly. So, for instance, their latest pompous nonsense about the Australians creating these rigid rules against social media. Well, I mean, all social media platforms, all children, or any child with a tablet or a phone or an implement, it has parental control. It's already there. The government doesn't need to pass the laws that the Australians have passed. They're not passing them for the benefit of the children. They're passing them as a first step towards implementing absolute control over our civil liberties. It's a Trojan horse.
Lady C, you've got a new book out. Is this right?
Oh.
It's new, Rogue Royal.
Yes.
And this is a New York Times, Sunday Times bestseller, inspired by the antics of many of the household names who have been part of the social set on both sides of the Atlantic. Lady C, and it's out now for Christmas.
Yep, Dan, it's not a bestseller. It's literally just come out. I think you're reading from the blurb that says that I'm a New York Times and London Times best-selling author.
Well, it's going to be a bestseller by Christmas, okay? Mark my
Well,
words.
One would hope so. It's actually a very, well, I think when people read it, they're going to find there's a lot of meat in it. Let's put it that way. And there's a lot for them to get stuck into. It's fun. It's fun.
Well, that sounds like a great Christmas present. And is it available on Amazon and wherever you get your books usually, Lady C?
Yeah. It's available on Amazon, on Kindle, and on our soft cover. But Dan, it's actually been a bit of a disaster because we were about to launch it when Netflix ran with Murder in Monaco.
You're the star of the trailer.
Yeah, but it was a disaster from that point of view because all of a sudden it was my book, because Murder in Monaco is basically based on my book, Empress Bianca.
I see, yes.
Which I wrote in 24 and was published in 2025, 2005, however it's called. And it caused a huge scandal at the time and actually became a worldwide cause celeb. But so they actually, by bringing up Empress Bianca, sort of swamped the launch of Royal Rogue. But anyway, such is life. These things happen. But thanks for mentioning it.
Lady Colin Campbell, thank you so much. We will speak very soon. In fact, I'm very excited to say that Lady C is going to be with me for a special edition of the show on Christmas Day.
The cause of death of Barney, the son of actor and comedian Justin Moorhouse, has been confirmed, prompting an outpouring of grief from colleagues and fans across the entertainment industry. Moorhouse, best known for his appearances on Coronation Street and a range of comedy programmes, announced the devastating news over the weekend. Justin Morehouse, who is in his mid-50s, shared that his son passed away peacefully in his sleep. According to the statement released by the family, Barney went to bed and did not wake up. No further medical details have been disclosed, and the family has asked for privacy as they mourn their loss. In a message shared publicly, Morehouse described the profound heartbreak felt by Barney's immediate and extended family. He explained that Barney was deeply loved by his parents, step-parent, sister, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and a close circle of friends. He conveyed that the family is struggling to come to terms with the loss, but is taking comfort in knowing that Barney was aware of how much he was loved. Morehouse also reflected on his son's character, describing him as happy, content, and optimistic about the future. He noted that Barney had been excited about what lay ahead and remembered him as a kind and gentle individual whose presence brought warmth to those around him. The statement emphasized the close bond between father and son and expressed gratitude for the compassion and sensitivity shown toward the family during this difficult time. Following the announcement, tributes quickly emerged from fellow performers and members of the public. Friends and colleagues from the comedy and acting world expressed their condolences, recalling Barney as a young man who grew up surrounded by love and support. Many described the loss as unimaginable and offered messages of solidarity to Morehouse and his family. Several figures who had worked closely with Morehouse shared memories of Barney from his childhood, noting the pride his family felt as he grew older. Others acknowledged that no words could adequately address such grief, but stressed that their thoughts were firmly with the family. Justin Morehouse rose to prominence during the early years of the current century after portraying the character young Kenny in the popular sitcom Phoenix Nights, created by Peter Kay. The role brought him widespread recognition and established him as a familiar face in British comedy. He later expanded his career by appearing alongside footballer Eric Cantona in the film Looking for Eric, which received critical acclaim. Morehouse went on to join the cast of Coronation Street, where he appeared for approximately 1 year before leaving the programme in the middle of the previous decade. Beyond scripted television, he became a regular presence on comedy and quiz shows, including Michael McIntyre's Comedy Roadshow, Celebrity Mastermind, and Still Open All Hours. He also created and starred in his own programme for British Broadcasting Corporation Radio 4, titled Everyone Quite Likes Justin. Despite his public career, Morehouse has generally kept his family life private. The announcement of Barney's death has therefore been met with particular sympathy, as fans and colleagues recognise the deeply personal nature of the loss.